Hello, this is Sam. Today, I would like this book, Benny Lewis, Fluent in 3 Months. Mm, Several years ago, I read Kazu-san's Eigo no Do, and I practiced several times, but I'm not so sure it works well or not right now, but I tried. So let's begin. Introduction. My story, your passion. Your story, like mine, begins and ends with passion, the surest path to learning a new language. In the late July 2003, just a couple of weeks after my 21st birthday, I moved to Valencia, Spain. To help me just to live in a foreign country, I enrolled in a Spanish class. It was a small class and it was taught entirely in Spanish, which was a bit of a problem for me because I only understood English. I had just graduated with a degree in electronic engineering and I had barely passed German and Irish courses I took in high school and college. Languages were definitely not my thing. After several classes, I was getting absolutely nowhere. Each lesson ended with the other students wearing great big satisfied smiles on their faces. I knew they had figured out something about the language that they didn't know before, while I still couldn't understand a single thing. My ego was destroyed. I was, without a doubt, the worst student in the class. And as I walked home with my head hung low, I couldn't help thinking, it's not fair. Why were those guys blessed with the language learning gene and I wasn't? I am never going to learn Spanish. After 6 months in Spain, I could barely muster up the courage to ask how much something cost or where the bathroom was. I really started to think I would never learn Spanish. I began to worry my experience is immersed in a different country would be a total failure. I was convinced my destiny was to spend the rest of my life speaking only English. Fast forward 7 years, one night in Budapest, I ended up at a couch surfing party at a local bar with an international crowd. I confidently strolled in and said hello to everybody in Hungarian, one of the most notorious difficult languages in the world. I started chatting with a local in Hungarian about my progress with his native language. I had been learning it only for about 5 weeks, but I was still able to have this rudimentary chat with him. Next, I noticed a slight Brazilian Portuguese accent from the guy speaking English to my left. I asked, Você é brasiliano? Brasileiro. Are you Brazilian? And when he told me in Portuguese that he was from Rio, I immediately switched to my karaoke accent using slang from his own country and city, telling him how much I missed it. He was shocked to hear an Irish guy speaks his own Portuguese dialect in a random bar in Budapest. Then I recognized a Spanish friend of mine across the table and immediately switched to fluent Spanish, asking her how her Hungarian was coming along. Later, a couple from Quebec arrived, and I turned on my Quebec accent and expression while speaking French. We exchanged contact information and made plans to hang out the next day. That night, I was managed to use some Italian, Esperanto, and word Thai tourist with a few phrases of basic Thai, using all the right tones. I even flirted in German with a German girl I saw regularly at these meetings. In one evening, I spoke 8 languages, including a little English, casually, socially, and naturally. I switched between them effortlessly without mixing them up, and more importantly, made some amazing new friends in the process. Since then, I've learned several other languages, and at the time of writing this, I can confidently use 12 languages in varying degrees of proficiency, from conversational Dutch, Mandarin, Chinese, and American Sign Language to certified mastery in Spanish and everything in between for the other 9. I understand that the basic of another 12 languages on top of these. I also run Fluent3month.com, the world's largest language learning blog, which to date has helped millions of people around the world learn a new language. All of this is true despite the fact that I spoke only English until the age of 21 and did poorly in my attempt to learn languages in school. How did this happen? How did I go from dropping out of my Spanish language class to being able to converse in more than a dozen languages? Simply by changing how I approach new languages. Okay, and the next part of the book I would like to read next time. See you then. Bye.